I am now signing an order approving of the prosecution of this matter by Superior Court information. Next, Mr. Johnston, do you wish me to read the Superior Court information in full to your client?
I do not, Your Honor. I do not require that be read. And I believe that we have a plea agreement which Mr. Wiley is going to recite on the record. At least that's my understanding.
If there is a proposed disposition, I would ask District Attorney Wiley to place that on the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, set forth in the Superior Court information are the two charges that you've indicated: promoting prison contraband in the first degree and criminal facilitation in the fourth degree. The promoting prison contraband is a Class B felony, punishable by 2 1/3 to 7 years in state prison, maximum fine of $5,000. Relative to the criminal facilitation in the fourth degree charge, that is an A misdemeanor, punishable by 1 year in the county jail and fine up to $1,000. The terms and conditions of the negotiated plea and sentence are as follows. The defendant will enter a plea to the Superior Court information in full in satisfaction of any other charges that the defendant could be charged with, including but not limited to any additional promoting prison contraband charges related to the escape of David Sweat and Richard Matt on June 6, 2012. As well as to the conspiracy to commit Lyle Mitchell, murder of Lyle Mitchell, as well as any Article 130 of the penal law charges that could be filed against Ms. Mitchell relative to sexual allegations involving David Sweat and or Richard Matt. The terms and conditions of the plea offer are as follows: that the defendant would be sentenced to 2 1/3 to 7 years indeterminate sentence on the promoting prison contraband first degree charge with a $5,000 fine. Secondly, the defendant would be sentenced to a 1 year in county jail to be imposed concurrently on the criminal facilitation in the fourth degree charge with a $1,000 fine, and the court would impose mandatory surcharges and crime victim fees. Additionally, the defendant would waive her right to trial, appeal, and post-conviction remedies. She would cooperate with the investigation being conducted by the New York State Inspector General's office relative to this matter and allegations at the Clinton Correctional Facility. That Ms. Mitchell would execute a surrender agreement with the University of the State Education Department relative to her certificate as a teaching assistant that was issued effective September 1st, 2002, with a control number of 325-238-031, and I would just acknowledge, and I'll ask Mr. Johnson and Ms. Mitchell following to acknowledge that she has already executed that surrender and has provided me with the original of that document.
That has been done this morning, and I delivered that to Mr. Wiley this morning, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. The defendant will further cooperate in preparation of the pre-sentence investigation report that the defendant would waive, the court would issue Parker Hicks and other warnings to the defendant, and the defendant would provide a DNA sample and pay the $50 DNA database fee pursuant to the executive law. This encompasses the entire plea disposition, Your Honor, relative to Joyce Mitchell and her involvement relative to the escape of David Sweat and Richard Matt, which occurred on or about June 6, 2012. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, does the negotiated disposition as set forth by District Attorney Wiley, does it concur with your understanding?
Yes, it does. And the only other thing I would add is what I said previously, is that to my knowledge, Ms. Mitchell does not have the ability, or will not have the ability, on the sentencing date to actually pay the fine monies out of pocket. It may be necessary for the court to issue a civil judgment, but other than that possibility, that's set forth my understanding as well.
At this time, I'm going to ask the defendant to stand and be sworn in.
Raise your hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony that you shall give in this issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Joyce Mitchell.
Ms. Mitchell, if I ask you a question that you don't understand, please give me your assurance that you will so inform me, and I will allow you to consult with Mr. Johnson. Do I have that assurance? First of all, do you understand that you have an absolute right to remain silent in the face of the charges lodged against you, and that by entering this plea of guilty, you give up that right and incriminate yourself? Have you had enough time to discuss this matter with Mr. Johnson to make an intelligent decision? Are you satisfied with his representation? Have you had enough time to discuss this matter with any friends or family? Do you understand that rather than accept this negotiated plea, you have the right to proceed to trial, either before the court sitting alone or before a jury? Do you understand that if you decided to go to trial rather than accept the offer, it would be the people who would have the burden of proving you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in order to secure conviction of the charges? Do you understand that if you proceeded to trial rather than accepted this offer, you would have the right to take the witness stand, give testimony in your own behalf if you wish, call witnesses in your own behalf if you wish, and through Mr. Johnston, cross-examine any witnesses called against you by the people? Do you understand that by entering this plea of guilty, you give up all these rights I've just mentioned? Are you entering this plea of guilty freely and voluntarily? Are you pleading guilty because you are in fact guilty? Do you understand that you are pleading to one felony and one misdemeanor? Do you understand that relative to the felony, if you were to go out and in the future commit another felony, the conviction resulting from this case could possibly result in a greater sentence in that future case than if you did not have a felony on your record? Do you understand that part of this negotiated disposition caused you to execute a waiver of appeal, whereby you would be waiving certain appellate rights? Do you understand that these rights that you would be waiving are in addition to those rights normally waived when an individual pleads guilty? And has Mr. Johnston gone over with you the waiver of your appellate rights? Do you understand that you will not be sentenced today, but that I will order a pre-sentence investigation report to be prepared by the Clinton County Probation Board, and that we will come back on a later date for sentencing? Do you understand that I'm not consenting today to go along with this proposed disposition? Because I first wish to review the pre-sentence report. Do you understand, and I give you my assurance that if I cannot go along with the proposed disposition, I would so inform you and your attorney, and you could discuss that further with your attorney.
All right, so we want to fill you in on what's going on here. We know the audio is a little bit iffy here, so we want to just explain to you that 51-year-old Joyce Mitchell from Dickson Center, who has been accused of helping in the escape of 2 murderers from the prison in Dannemora, just pleaded guilty to 2 charges: to promoting prison contraband in the 1st degree, which is a felony, and criminal facilitation in the 4th degree. That's a misdemeanor.
That's right. There was some discussion as to whether she was going to perhaps take a plea deal today or try and fight it, and just moments ago she did in fact take that plea deal. What that means for Joyce Mitchell is that she will serve 7 years in prison and pay a $6,000 fine. The charges that she was already facing could have landed her 8 years in jail, and there was also a chance that she could have faced more charges as well. This will take care of that. That could have included
Those charges could have included a conspiracy to kill her husband, Lyle, who, by the way, is in the courtroom at this hour, and having any sexual relationship with either one of the inmates involved, Richard Matt or David Sweat. Those now she cannot be charged with. She also is going to have to help in the investigation, the Inspector General's investigation into what went wrong at Clinton Correctional Facility that led to this escape. She is explaining to the judge right now, as you see her shaking her head yes, that she understands the plea deal that she has just gone into, that she knows she cannot go back on this. She decided not to have a grand jury investigation, instead to just go with a superior court information document. She is not going to be sentenced today, we should point out. The judge said that sentencing will not happen today. But when she is, as David said, she is going to be sentenced to a total of 7 years in prison. Now, she would have gotten 1 additional year in county jail for the misdemeanor charge, but he said that will be served concurrently. That means that it will be served at the exact same time, and she will have to pay $6,000 in fines, money that she just told the judge she doesn't have, so they'll have to come to terms on how she will pay that back as well.
And Joyce Mitchell's attorney, Stephen Johnston, had indicated earlier that this is the direction he would have liked to see her go in, to take this plea deal and avoid having to face the possibility of the additional charges that might have been lodged against her. Of course, they discussed some of the evidence, and early on in the investigation, when police were still hunting down Matt and Sweat, when this thing was really hot, there was some indication that she had been helping police, so presumably she had already given a lot of evidence to make it pretty clear that perhaps she was a part of this.
Oh, yes, exactly. This takes care of all of the charges involved in the escape of David Sweat and Richard Matt for Joyce Mitchell. She was the prison seamstress, and she also is accused of bringing hacksaw blades and tools to these 2 inmates to help them get out, some of it in raw hamburger meat. She met them in the tailor shop. She worked with them in the tailor shop. She was the prison seamstress and worked with them there. There had been talk about sexual relationships with these 2 inmates. None of that is going to, there will be no charges for that now. There's never been any real proof to that, David. There's been discussions of it, but never real proof.
Yeah, it was all lots of talk about that. Now, after this proceeding wraps up, the district attorney, Andrew Wiley, is going to be joining members of the media out front. We're going to have live coverage of that as he sort of wraps up what's happened in there.
That's right, and we are going to have that for you live as well. We're going to have Hannah is there and Vanessa is there, and we will be going live to them in just a few minutes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Again, to recap, you've been watching a live proceeding in the court. Joyce Mitchell has taken a plea deal. She has agreed to serve 7 years in prison and pay a $6,000 fine, admitting to her part in helping facilitate the escape of 2 murderers from Clinton Correctional Facility.
That's right. All right, so I think we're going to take a break. Is that correct? We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break right now, and we are going to come back when the news conference with District Attorney Andrew Wiley is going on outside of the courtroom when these proceedings end. We will see you in just a few minutes.